but have you heard this one, though? Death, death to the IDF, death, death to the IDF, death, death to the IDF.
All right, let's talk about this this punk rocker and the front man. Got his visa revoked. These guys, man. State Department pulls visas for British band Bob Vylan. Yeah. They were chanting death to the IDF in Glastonbury. State Department. The Secretary of State's been clear the U.S. will not approve visas for terrorist sympathizers. All right. I don't know if you guys have heard this story. State Department's revoked the visas for members of the Bob Vylan band after the British punk rap duo called for the death to the IDF during a Saturday performance in England's Glastonbury Music Festival. See, they were going to come to the U.S. later in 2025. The State Department announced Monday that it pulled the visas for the band members after the group led chants calling for the end of the Israel Defense Forces. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about this story, but I'll tell you this. I'd love to rant on it for just a second if you let me. And no, it's not a typo. Bob Vylan. That's the level of creativity we're working with here. You know, this genius, I don't know, David, can we even play this clip? I don't know what he says here. Is it
free? Free. All right, but have you heard this one, though? Death, death to the IDF, death, death to the IDF, death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF. Death, death to the IDF.
All right, so this genius gets up on stage in Glastonbury. It's the biggest festival in the UK. And he's screaming, free Palestine. He's screaming, death to the IDF. Not criticism, not dialogue, death. He's leading thousands of stoned out of their minds virtue signalers in the audience calling for death. And for that, the U.S. told him, nah, bro. You can keep your propaganda tour on the other side of the Atlantic. And you know what? For once, I'm here to say I'm going to give a little slow clap to the State Department because that's the right move right there. Let me break it down. Folks, that's not about art or speech or whatever. And by the way, he was in Glastonbury, not in the U.S. This wasn't about peace or justice. This was a public incitement of hatred under the guise of performance. It's rage with a sound check. And what makes it worse is that this wasn't some dude in a basement on YouTube. This was a headliner on a platform with influence, and they knew exactly what in the world they were doing. Now, I don't care how punk you think you are. If your whole identity is built around hating Western civilization and bathing in its luxuries, you're not a rebel, you're a effing parasite. You want to sing about oppression while your check clears from Spotify and your merch sells for $60 a hoodie. You're not a revolutionary. You're a walking contradiction wrapped in Che Guevara patch and a daddy issue. So let's not pretend this is about Gaza. Let's not pretend this is about peace. Because if it was, they would have skipped straight past Israel's right to exist and gone full throttle into death chants. That's not a freedom fighter move, dude. That's cowardice dressed up in a studded vest. This guy. Is he wearing a freaking dress? No, he's wearing shorts. Okay. I was about to take this rant a whole other direction. Because I'm not familiar with the band Bob Vylan. And can we just call this trend what it is? The growing global leftist chic of hating America and hating Israel has become a marketing strategy. And I see you guys, and maybe you don't like Israel. Maybe I don't really give a damn if you like Israel or not. I got my issues with every government of man, whether it's Israel or America. But here's the bottom line. I know that rage sells, hatred is profitable, and somehow every washed-up activist celebrity with a SoundCloud account thinks screaming death to Western values is some kind of flex. But here's the problem. You don't get to preach genocide from the comfort of a country that would die to protect your right to speak. Dumbass. You don't get to call for death to our allies and then cry injustice when your own tour bus gets parked. Bubba, here's the difference between criticism and bile. And Bobby Vylan, you cross that line like it was the finish line to a virtue signaling marathon. Look at these punks. Look at these punks. And I see you talking about Israel. So what are you going to do? Israel's the most evil nation that's ever existed. So you're going to chant death to them? Shut up. What are you going to do about it? Tell me from the comfort of your easy chair, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, we got a lot of geopolitical issues, but if you want to advocate for innocent Palestinians caught in a crossfire, then by all means go do it. That's your right. That might even be noble for you. I got it. I believe it is. But when your chant isn't peace for Gaza, but death to the IDF, I don't care who you are. You've outed yourself, and that's not empathy. It's bloodlust disguised as protest. And to me, I think it's a mob-weak strategy to go to the public. So let me make something crystal clear. The IDF has done more to restrain themselves in combat than any military on the planet. How about that? They've dropped leaflets. They've sent the text messages to evacuate areas. They've given more warning before a strike than most people give before farting in an elevator. And yeah, let's chant for their death. That's real heroic, guys. Go ahead and leave. I don't care, because I have spoken out against Israel way more than you have. Way more than you have. Way more than you have. You can watch 30 years of my recorded voice talking about the problems with Israel. But here's what burns me up about guys like Bobby Villain, because, see, you guys getting caught up in the geopolitics of a nation that was formed in 1948. You guys are getting caught up in that kind of stuff. You're forgetting the bigger sociological issue connected with these celebrities out there that are virtue signaling to a generation that violence is okay. Because just a minute ago, you were willing to condemn a kid, 20 years old, who ambushed firefighters over, I'm sure, some certain ideology that had brainwashed him, but yet you're willing to let pieces of shit like this get on stage in front of your kids at an $80 to $100 ticket and put that type of violent rhetoric in their mouth. I don't care who they're shouting death to. I don't know about you, you New Testament scholars, but my Bible says, bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. Now, if you don't like Israel, let me ask you a question. Have you prayed for the lost souls of Israel? Tell me about it, you hypocritical pew sitter. Tell me about it. You want to talk about how evil Israel is? Tell me which government of man is good. You tell me which one. You tell me where the benevolent dictators are, because I haven't found them. So you know what I'd rather do rather than cursing everybody on the planet is pray for them. God literally opened our southern borders up. Oh, Joe Biden did it. No, God showed you how impotent the American church was. When he said, go to the ends of the earth and make disciples, the ends of the earth came here. And guess what? The American church wasn't ready. But we sure hate Israel, don't we? See, that's the problem. I can complain about the government of Israel because I know what the F I'm talking about with this. The issue that I have ain't about Jews or Muslims. It's about Christians who claim to be something that they aren't. And they have turned a whole generation of their children and grandchildren over to these mouth breathers. The dude ain't even from America. He's not from here. But he's all lined up to come over here and tour our country, rake in your money, spend your kids' brain power to be chanting stuff like this, and gonna lecture our people about how awful we are. I mean, can you imagine the arrogance? I mean, think about this. You get invited to somebody's house and the first move is to insult their family, crap on the couch, and set the dog on fire. I really don't care how fired up with me you get. I'll have that debate with anybody who wants to have it. Here's the truth. Bobby's not alone. This is the norm now in entertainment. It's become trendy to bash America while cashing in on her blessings. That's what it is. These celebrities, they live in these gated communities. They sip lattes made with milk that had a trust fund while lecturing people like you and me in middle America about oppression, and somehow their fans eat it up like gospel. Because we're not dealing with logic. We're dealing with cult-level programming. And you know what I'd love just once, I mean once, for one of these overpaid entertainers to stop and say, hey, you know what? For all its flaws, America is still the best damn place on earth. And maybe I should be grateful that I get to shout from a stage without being thrown off a roof like they do in Hamas-controlled Gaza. But no, that'd be too much honesty. That'd be too much backbone. We wouldn't want to do that, would we? No, we wouldn't want to do that. We live in a time when rebuking evil is called hate speech. But calling for the death of a sovereign nation's soldiers, that's called activism. How upside down do we have to get before we call this what it really is, and it's evil? Let me tell you something, America. You have the right to speak, but when you use that right to promote terrorism, to amplify the voices of death cults, and to spit on the graves of our allies and our soldiers, regardless of who they are or what you think about their government, don't be surprised when the door slams shut in your face. That's not called cancel culture. That's called consequences. We need to stop apologizing for having standards. We need to stop letting cultural squatters come in and trash the place in the name of progress. And if you're an American celebrity doing the same thing, guess what? You're not immune either. Just because you played a Marvel villain or sang at the Grammys doesn't mean you're qualified to rewrite the moral code of a country. You don't get a free pass because your Instagram bio says they, them, and abolish borders. Or you floated a Ukraine flag or an Iranian flag or a whatever, Palestinian flag. See, this is the fruit of a generation raised on postmodern poison, taught that America is evil, trained to believe that every form of rebellion is holy. It's not. Some rebellion is just evil dressed up in skinny jeans and guy liner. So yeah, I'm glad Bobby Villain got the boot. I hope it sends a message. It won't. They won't hear it. I hope it makes the next fame-hungry wannabe Fidel Castro think twice before chanting death on stage. Because you can burn flags, wear masks, and shake your fists all you want. But if you hate this country so much, here's an idea. Don't come here. Stay home. Start a punk band in Gaza and see how that works out for you. But as for us, I'm not playing that game anymore. I'm drawing the line. When you come for America, when you spit on her values, when you threaten her allies, her friends, don't be surprised when they show you the door. Because it's not about music, folks. It's not about celebrity. It's about truth. And we're not done telling it.